Hi guys, so I'm back with a new video and let's talk about Halloween. In case you're wondering, no, I'm not talking about the new Halloween film. I'm talking about what I did for this Halloween. So basically this year I decided to do 31 days of horror just for myself. Like I don't want to have like the pressure of filming a video every single day and editing and just having to watch a film every day. Like I just think it's a bit too much for me right now, and you will understand once I get more into this. But just to try this thing out, I decided to watch a film every single day in October, and I took this time to watch a bunch of horror classics that I haven't watched yet. Now I have, but yeah, so I decided to try this one out. Maybe in the future I'll do a proper 31 days of horror here on YouTube, but as of now, this was a lot to do, like to watch a movie every single day in October, mainly because there was a ton of new releases, and because of that I wasn't able to watch a movie every single day. Technically I did, because I went and watched two films at the cinema that weren't on my list. They weren't horror, so technically I did watch a movie every single day, but not the ones that I had on my list. So I'm just gonna like tell you what I did watch, sort of. I can't name every single film. So in the end of this video, if you want to know more, like a proper review on any of these films that I didn't really do a review in this video, just let me know in the comments. I might do a proper video on that film. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. As I said, I'm not gonna mention every single film that I watched, so I'm just gonna leave here a list of all the films that I planned on watching. As I said, I wasn't able to watch all of them. There were like 3 that I didn't watch. One is Queen of the Damned, which was going to be like a rewatch. Like I watched that film when I was like really young, maybe 10 or something, so I wanted to rewatch it again. The second one that I didn't watch was Ghost Stories, which has been on my to watch list for so long, but again I wasn't able to watch that one. And the third one was Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me, which I'm not really that mad about because I haven't seen any of the Twin Peaks shows or anything. So maybe I was just getting a bit ahead of myself with this film. I don't know. Just let me know in the comments if I have to watch the series before watching the movie. So yeah, those were the 3 ones that I didn't watch. Out of all the other ones, 2 were rewatches. And those were Kill Bill Volume 1, and I'll get more into that, and Bliss from 2019. I've talked about this film a number of times here on my channel now, but I never really did a proper review on it, so I guess now it's the time. So yeah, before I get really into my favorites, I just have to mention that for some reason, like my viewing experience started out great. Like the first films that I picked were all like really good films, but then as we get like in the last days of October, like the movies got worse. So I don't know how that happened, but it did. And yeah, so I guess now let's get into my top 5. Although I do have a clear top 5, I do have to mention 2 like honorable mentions, movies that I really enjoyed as well, which are The House of the Devil, It's like a throwback to the 80s, if I'm not mistaken, and surprisingly, I really enjoyed it. It's a bit goofy, but it's mostly fast paced, and I enjoyed it. I liked the aesthetic. And the second honorable mention is A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Again, another movie that I had on my watch list for so long, and I just found that film like really beautiful. And yeah, it's a beautiful story, it's beautifully shot, and my only issue with it really is the pacing. At times it is extremely slow, so yeah, you have to be like in the right mindset to watch it, because if you're not, maybe you'll just stop watching it, because there's a bit in the middle that it's a bit too slow. But yeah, apart from that, I really enjoyed it. Now to my actual number 5. It's Psycho from 1960. With most of these films, I think I don't really have to explain them, but just for the sake of this video, and in case you don't really know these movies, I'm just gonna tell you who's the director and a little bit about the film. So Psycho is directed by Alfred Hitchcock, and it's about a girl that is on the run, and she finds herself at the Bates Motel, where the manager is a boy that takes care of his a boy, like a young man, I guess, takes care of his mother. And there's more to this family, so that's all I'm gonna say. I do have to say that I went into this with, like, I already knew the story because I've watched the show Bates Motel, and I knew like the twist of the film. So on that department, it wasn't really a surprise, but it was a surprise everything else. Like, I really enjoyed it. Obviously, it's my number 5, and I just understood the hype. Like, I now understand why this film is a classic. It's really well shot. The acting is so good. Like, I really liked the main actress as well as the actor that plays Norman, but like the actress was really good, and it's actually a lot better than some of recent films. So I totally get why people love this film, because now I do too. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. It's a classic, and it's a classic for a reason. If you haven't watched it, I'm not really the right person to tell you this, because this is my first watch. But yeah, just if you haven't watched it, it's worth it. My number 4 is, I guess, another classic, which is Others from 2001. This one is directed by Alejandro Amenabar. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And this is about a mother and her children that live in this house that they think it's haunted. It's a really straightforward sort of movie. I just loved atmosphere. It was just really fall vibes, which was perfect for this time of the year. And I do have to say that, like, the twist of the film is really predictable, and this might be a little spoilery, but it's kind of similar to The Sixth Sense. Not only like the story, but the atmosphere. I felt the exactly same thing that I felt when I rewatched recently The Sixth Sense. Like, it's just really fall vibes and just warm tones. And yeah, even though I did predict the ending, it was pretty predictable. I just loved the vibe, and yeah, I was enjoying it. And the acting is so good. The main actress is Nicole Kidman, and the children, I don't think they're actors anymore, but they did a pretty good job in this film. So yeah, I enjoyed it, even though I think it's a predictable film. Number 3 is, I think, the biggest surprise because the last two, like my top two, are rewatches. So I already knew those films were great, but this one I really want to rewatch it again because it's something else. And I'm talking about Baskin from 2015, directed by Con Everno. Again, hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And this one is about a group of police officers that go into a building and find some disturbing stuff. This, like, I would describe this film as mindfuck, disturbing, and just crazy. Like, it's really one of those that you get more out of on a rewatch. I'm pretty sure I did some research on it after watching it because there's a ton of symbolism and stuff. The end might not be for everyone because it's kind of ambiguous, but I love that, and it is pretty disturbing. I've seen some people say that this is one of the most disturbing films, and I kind of agree, but at the same time I kind of wanted more. It's that kind of macabre because I don't know, I really enjoyed it, but because I had like a little bit of hype about how disturbing it is, I thought it would be even more disturbing. But there's definitely some stuff that are really disturbing and just crazy and gory and all of that, but I just loved it. And if you're into gory and disturbing films, and as I saw someone mention, this is like Hellraiser meets Martyrs, so yeah, there's that. Then, as I said, like my number 2 is a rewatch. It's Bliss from 2019. Again, I've talked so much about this film because I just think it's a really underrated film. It's directed by Joe Begos, and it's about an artist that just doesn't have the inspiration, and so she goes on a drug binge. Like, she just takes a ton of drugs in one night, and then she finds herself craving blood. It's another crazy one with beautiful visuals. I love it. It has tons of neon and stuff, which, I just love that. And it's one of those that it's kind of anxiety inducing. It just makes you feel really anxious, and on that I kind of think it's similar to Climax. So if you enjoyed Climax, I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy this one, but if you didn't, I would stay away from this one because it's probably not for you. But it's definitely for me. I love that. I just basically love everything about this film. It's so beautiful. I like the story. I like the take on vampires. For some reason, I've been like talking a lot about vampires lately. I don't know. And yeah, I just think it's super underrated. And so also, like, a trigger warning for flashing lights. If you are sensitive to flashing lights, you can't watch this film. There's actually a warning in the beginning of the film, but just so you know, yeah, there's tons of flashing lights in this film, so there might be a bit too much for who's sensitive to it. Lastly, but certainly not least, my number 1, it's like one of my all-time favorite films, if not like my favorite film. Like, it's definitely the one that I've watched the most. It's Kill Bill Volume 1 from 2003, directed by Quentin Tarantino. And I just don't know if there's really a debate on this, but in certain places this is not categorized as a horror. But I've talked to some people, and because of the content in this, I would say this is horror because this has tons of blood. It is an action film, yes, but I would also put it in the horror category. I don't know, let me know in the comments where you stand on that, but I would say this is a horror film because it has tons of gore, tons of violence, so yeah. But if you don't know what Kill Bill Volume 1 is about, it's about an assassin that is shot by her boss and all the other people in the crew. And she goes after them for revenge. It's pretty straightforward, but there's a ton of cool stuff in the film. Like, it just jumps from the past to the present. It has animation. Yeah, I just really like this film. It's, as I said, it's the one that I've rewatched the most, and it's probably the film that got me into horror, or at least into gory films, because I watched it for the first time when I was 7, and at that time I like rewatched it over and over again. I've watched it like 10 times at least, and over the years I've rewatched it a lot more. So yeah, I just really like it, and it's so entertaining, and yeah, it's just a film that I just love, and I have nothing bad to say about it. Like, yeah. So those were my favorites. Just so I tell you a little bit more about the films that I've watched, I'm just gonna let you know the ones that I liked the least. So my least favorites were VHS Viral. That movie is just awful, like really awful. People warned me, but I still wanted to watch it. But yeah, it's pretty bad. I also didn't like Two Evil Eyes. I know that's a classic as well, but I just really disliked it. I thought it was dumb, and yeah. Also, I didn't like An American Werewolf in London. And with this, I just realized I don't like the 80s. I don't like films from the 80s, or most of them at least. So yeah, I just think most of them are really cringe and not my style at all. Just kind of maybe an unpopular opinion. And the last one that I just didn't like was Suburban Gothic, which is a comedy. And I knew that, but it's a dumb comedy, so yeah, I wasn't a fan. I'm sorry if you liked those films, but yeah. Post that, I think I've said enough, and I think I gave you some recommendations. Again, if you want to know more about the films that I've watched, if you saw one in the list that you want to know more about, just let me know in the comments. And let me know what you watched this Halloween and this October. And yeah, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and I'll see you in my next video.